Okay, my lovelies, it's extremely bright here. I might get bleached out, and if I do, I'll change the lighting. But what you will need for today is you don't need, but you might enjoy holding the weight of a bolster at one point or more than one point. If you happen to be someone who has one of these squidgy balls, these are a little bit better than using a block, but you can also use a cushion. We're going to be using them between our thighs, which we've done many times before. So you don't need to have this, but if you have one, yeah, absolutely, that's the one. They can be a bit better. Mine is quite small, and if you have a very small one, you might need it pretty fully inflated. But if you have a larger one, you might need to take some air out. But you generally don't tend to know what kind of inflation you need until you actually start using it. So it is a bit of a faff at the time. And while we will, as always, use our long resistance bands, I would love if you have a looped one to get your looped one, but you may end up not using it. Sorry, if you don't have one, is what I'm trying to say, you can always tie a bow in your long one when the time comes. The reason I'm explicitly saying a bow is because if you tie a knot, you'll never get the knot out of it, because of course when you use the band, you'll be pulling at the knot and it will be tightening. So a little bow can be just make it a little easier to untie. We're going to start standing. I think that's okay. I know it's very bleached in the foreground, but I think you can see me okay. So just taking a little moment of connection to self, to the physical body, but also to your energy. So what have you got going on today? Are you jiggy or calm? Are you fired up or kind of slumped or low? So there's all sorts of different energies, some of which are positive and some of which are difficult to move through. And they can all be manifestations of different natures of the nervous system. We can be energized in a good way and energized in a difficult way. And we can be calm or too low. So just noticing where you're at now and what might change between now and the end of the practice. Or nothing may change. And I asked those of you who are here live, I asked for any niggles or issues in your body that you're needing supported. There was none in the room mentioned. Oh yes, one arm. But also if you have anything that's manifesting now, something else that you may not have noticed as you take a moment of stillness, just tuning into that and acknowledging its need for care. Perhaps closing your eyes, keeping them open if you prefer. And just thinking about the tops of your ears, which is a bit random. And imagine the tops of your ears like little pointy elf's ears. And imagine those points reaching up to the ceiling. So what I hope that that does is create a sort of elevation in the head. Excuse me. But that what it doesn't do is create this way of elevating, but it's a directly kind of straight up movement through the tops of the ears. We're going to move and connect with breathing at the same time to get you connected with the breathing. So as you rise up on your toes, imagine your pointy elf ears touching the ceiling, breathing in. And as you breathe out, imagine your elf ears staying touching to the ceiling as your heels come down. Now, of course, they won't stay as high as they were, but imagine the ears not coming down with you as you come down. Inhaling, rise up on your toes. Imagine the height of the ears or the top of your head. And as you bring the heels down, imagine leaving your head behind. So, of course, you won't be leaving the head at the same height in the room, but imagine that you're not losing height as you come up one more time, breathing in and exhaling, coming down. Carefully picking up your ball, block, or cushion to pop between your thighs, low down near your knees. Not at the knees, but just not up inside the groins or the upper thighs. And we'll just do the same. Squeeze the ball though. Before we rise up, squeeze the ball and notice if that causes you to push down in the pelvic floor. For some of us, it will naturally rise the pelvic floor, but for others, it will naturally, or maybe a slight opposite habit to what the pelvic floor would normally do. You might bear down when you squeeze. So just squeeze and think, okay, I'm just going to hold a little pamphlet between my buttocks. I'm going to lift a tissue out of a tissue box with my vagina, and I'm going to stop a gentle flow of wee. And then inhale, relax the pressure. Exhale, do that little squeeze and those upward lifts and rise your elf ears up to the top of the room as you come up to your toes. It'll be harder on your calves, folks, with the ball. And inhale, keep the grip as the heels come down, this head thinks up. Just one more with the feet in this configuration. Squeeze and rise. Notice the buttocks. The perineum is the space between anus and vagina. That's really where I'm wanting you to engage when I'm talking about holding something between your buttocks and inward and upward lift there. Then we'll turn the toes out. You might need, if you have the ball, to adjust it because it might pop out otherwise. And we're going to squeeze and rise. Think the tops of your elf ears up. And as your heels come down, keep your elf ears high. As the heels come down and squeeze. There's a constant squeeze now with the ball. Squeeze and rise. And squeeze and come down. And one more time. Squeeze and rise. Breathing in and breathing out to come down. Let's turn the toes in and the heels out. Again, you may need to adjust the ball so it doesn't shoot out behind you if you're using a ball. Exhale, squeeze, and feel that that's more towards the urinary sphincter that you're getting that tone. And inhale, rise. Inhale, release, sorry. Exhale, squeeze and rise. I know I mixed up the breath there at one point. Rising up the ears. Inhale, heels down. Keep the gentle squeeze. And exhale, squeeze and rise. And inhale gently down. And one more time, connecting to that inner thigh and pubic bone area and coming down. Take the ball out for the moment. And we'll just have a little swing. Let the heel that wants to come off the floor come off the floor naturally. And just letting go some of that tension that we created around the hip joints and the upper thighs with this flow. Just let the body flow. And then come back to center. We're going to move away from that and back to it in a minute. We're going to do what's called a double lunge, which means that one foot is going to stay in the middle of the mat and the other foot is going to lunge forward and lunge back and forward and back a number of times. So important that you don't have any objects on your mat front and back that you might stand on and wobble on your ankle. So standing in the middle of your mat, as in there's equal distance in front and behind. If possible, keep your eyes on the horizon rather than looking down to your feet. But if initially you feel the need for safety to look down, please do. And we're going to step the right foot forward and bend both knees. And step the right foot back and bend both knees. So you'll be coming up onto the toes of the back foot. As you rise up to go forward, straighten the standing leg to step and then do your lunge. Harder movement as you come back, straighten the standing leg before you step back to do your lunge. So it's only the right foot moving. So step the right foot forward and lunge down with two knees bent and come all the way up to standing, swing the right foot back, lunge down, two knees bent. Stay upright, think of your elf ears, and we'll do 3 more of both in both directions. You're trying to come up onto a straight leg in between and 2 bent knees as you go, bringing the right foot forward, straighten the leg as you step back and bend both knees, right foot back. 1 more, I think. No, 2 more. And the last one. 2 knees bent, straighten right up as you transfer, and 2 knees bent, straighten right up to get together. Keep the right foot now in the middle. We'll do 6 on the left. Step the left foot forward, bend both knees, right up to standing, left foot back, bend both knees. This is challenging if you've got bunions. The balance will be challenged when you land on the bunion toe behind. And it's challenging on the muscles of the legs, challenging your balance, challenging your ability to step to where you want to step to. And we've done, I think, 2 on each side. If you want, you can use your arms around the place, wherever they want to go. Or you can keep them on your hips. What breath works for you? I like to exhale as I bend and rise. Inhale as I step, exhale, bend and rise. Inhale, step, exhale, bend and rise. And come together. Take a little breather. You may be out of breath, which is all to the good. While we have that breather, we'll be coming back to that. Try and put your band around your thighs. Please hold a wall. I was about to fall there really because I was trying to put my knickers on. It's like putting your knickers on, isn't it? Get the 2 feet into the band and bring it up to just above your knees. So the band is on the thighs, just higher than the knees. And we're going to sit down into a bit of a chair pose. And remember, in chair pose, we're kind of sliding down the wall rather than coming forward, and we're definitely not rounding the spine. So bending the knees to slide down the wall. And walk the feet out till the band is a little bit taut. And as you squat down a bit further, reaching the hands forwards, if you're going to sit down onto a toilet, lift through the pelvic floor and push out into the band slightly. Inhale up, pelvis forward, arms back. Exhale, sitting down. Push slightly out into the band. If your knees hurt, do not. Angle your feet however makes your knees happiest. Inhale up, push the pelvis forward. 3 more. Exhale, sit. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, sit. As we inhale and reach back, we're going to rise up to the toes, elf ears to the ceiling. Exhale, sit down, heels down. Inhale, rise to the toes. If you want a last bit of extra challenge, as you sit down, you keep your heels off the floor. 3 more. Breathing in, rise up to the toes. Keep the elf ears up. And exhale, sit down, or your breath. You might prefer to exhale to push down to come up. And last one. A little bit of pressure out into the band. Take a breather. You can let your band fall off. Actually, mine's just refusing to fall off. And kick it out. And we'll have another little swing. Shaking off the intensity. And then come to stillness. And close your eyes, a little mini standing Shavasana. And if your eyes don't want to close, for whatever reason, keep them open, but we're having a little mini rest. We're going to do the last 2 exercises now, holding a bolster. And if you feel like it's too much, chuck the bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, you might like to try with a couple of bottles of water, some cans of beans, or anything that is weighty that you don't feel you're going to drop, because if you drop, you might hurt your toes. By the way, you are welcome to do these classes in runners if you want to. Most of what we do, obviously, or almost all of what we do, doesn't involve anything heavy enough that you'd hurt yourself. But if you ever feel like you'd prefer to have shoes on, you're very welcome. Remember that when we're holding a bolster or any weight at all, it's lighter when we hold it close and it's heavier when we hold it away. So you're very welcome to hold it close the whole time, or even alternate away and close. Personally, for this double lunge, I recommend you at least start with it still, not doing a forward and away, but you can certainly hold it slightly away from your body if right in feels too easy for you. So we're standing on the left foot is not going to move, and we're stepping the right foot forward, bending both knees. And then we come up to full stand, but the right foot doesn't touch the floor, and we swing the right foot back, bending both knees. Rise up full length and step forward, bend both knees. Think your elf ears up and your elf ears staying up. If you're having a fun time and you want to hold the bolster out in front, that will make it harder. Try and come up each time to a full straight leg. And you may be exhausted now and want to stop, or 4 more. What breath works for you? Mind the knees. You don't have to go terribly low in a lunge to get the strengthening work. And I would really rather you work on less strength and happy knees than more strength and unhappy knees. Last one, I think. When you come up to center, we'll take a brief rest for our arms by taking the bolster down and take your left foot back and have a nice little pyramid pose with straight right leg coming forward over that bolster. And breathing. You're welcome to be still or to have a little swish of your tail. Long spine. And then when you're ready, bend that right knee, step up. Carefully take your bolster up into your arms again. I think we did 6 on the other side, but I may have actually made you go a little longer because I was so busy talking other detail. If you did count yourself, please do the same. No, you didn't. Some of you might have. I count ferociously when I'm with my personal trainer because I'm just like, when is it over? When is it over? When is it over? And it kind of keeps me from getting this point of like, this is never going to end. So as I say, if you had a count, go ahead and do it. I'm aiming for 6. So bolster close, bolster far, different leg. So it might be a different experience for you. Right leg stays in the center, left foot forward, 2 knees bend, up to full standing, left foot back, 2 knees bend, up to full standing, left foot forward, 2 knees bend. If you want some vestibular and proprioceptive challenge, you're welcome to close your eyes. So it becomes a brain, even more of a brain challenge and a balance challenge than it was before. But if you get wildly inaccurate and you can't just have the strength work and the mobility work, then leave it out. I think we've done 3 each side. Might have done 4. So 2 or 3 more. Don't sell yourself short, but also don't get miserable. Stand up in between, full height. Think about your elf ears. What breath works for you? 1 more, perhaps. And when you come up to center, pop your bolster vertically. If you don't have a bolster, maybe go to a chair. Should have said that on the other side. Left foot forward, right foot back. Pyramid pose, straight left leg. Long spine. Freedom to be still or wriggle. Looking for the pleasure, feeling your heart rate returning from that elevated state. Very positive elevation. And keep breathing. In a moment, or rather not in a moment, when you're ready, step up, whether that's in a moment or now, and come up to vertical. And again, just a little mini shavasana to really let those arms rest for a moment. Breathing, softening your jaw. Tuck your chin slightly and pull your nose straight back like you're giving yourself a double chin. And relax that. If you were lying on the floor, it would be like you're pushing the back of your head straight down into the floor. Do that again. Exhale, press the back of the head. Back, the nose back. Double chin kind of sensation. Inhale, relax. 2 more. Exhale, give yourself a double chin. Turtleneck kind of thing. Inhale back. And 1 more time. And then our last go with the band, we're going to do the chair thing again, and we're going to choose to add or not add the bolster. So again, just be careful when you're putting on your band that you're not A, falling over, or B, over flexing the spine. We can flex the spine with osteoporosis. We're just not unconsciously throwing ourselves into flexion and then doing other stuff like coughing or tying our shoelaces. So when we think there might be an added pressure when we're flexing the spine, we choose not to flex the spine. So if you have a cold, or you're about to have to pull some heavy bootlaces, or put a big elastic around your feet, around your legs, then you might err on the side of going with the hip hinge. Maybe you have to squat, maybe you have to sit down and lift your feet up. But if you're just, I don't know, bending down to pick up a piece of paper, a bit of a hip hinge, but not being quite so cautious. So it's when we add weight to flexion or force to flexion that we're in more danger. If you feel like you have it in you to take more weight into, we'll do exactly the same thing. Do you remember we sat down and we rose up and we chose to either stay on the heels, go onto the toes, or keep the heels off the floor the whole time? If you think you had the strength to add something like the bolster, you can either hold it close and you won't be doing any arm movements, or you can bring it forwards and back. Just again, be careful. This is weight added, so we're being more careful about the flexion. So if I'm coming forward and the bolster is causing me to round, that's not good. I don't have the back strength to maintain that. So I stay higher and stay flexed. Stay not flexed, I beg your pardon. So it's all coming in the hips. This is a hip hinge anyway. So first we're going to walk the feet out so the band is a little bit taut. And we're going to sit down, pushing the knees slightly out without adverse impact on the knees. So prioritize your knees, please. And then we're going to inhale up and press the pelvis slightly forward into the bolster for a little hip extension. And then we're going to sit down, maybe bringing the bolster forward. Sit down onto a toilet, lift through the pelvic floor. So you're not going to go to the toilet, haha. Inhale, bolster up, pelvis forward. Exhale, sitting down. Lift through the pelvic floor strongly there. Inhale up, maybe rise up to the toes. Exhale down, maybe bring the heels down. Inhale up. This is our last really strenuous stuff. So see if you can pace yourself to do 6 more, either with the heels on or off the floor, with or without the bolster. The bolster doesn't have to move. You could work this way. A little tone out into the band. Don't forget about the band. There's a lot going on here. You're working your calves more if you're on your toes. You're working all your legs if you're on your heels. Just see what you feel like working on. Calf strength is important. I heard somebody calling the calves the little brain or something. I know that is the cerebellum. I don't know what connection there is between the calves and the brain. What breath works for you as you do your last 2. Shoulders soft, spine long, glutes really activated as you come up. And thank God, pop that bolster to one side and take your band off, which we'll need near our mats in a moment. But first we'll finish our upright stuff with some vestibular challenge. Well, actually, we'll just do a balance challenge and we'll do our vestibular stuff on the floor. But for a moment, sorry, I'm preempting. Let's just rest. Maybe that's eyes closed for you, maybe open. maybe you decide to yourself, I don't want to do balance stuff today. I'm going to lie down on the floor and wait till she's finished. Checking in for your positive stress levels. Feel your breath returning to normal if it has sped up. So for our balance challenge, take your brick-shaped block if you have one. If you don't have a brick-shaped block, you can use a cushion. And if you happen to have a thing that I didn't list at the beginning because I forgot, if you happen to have something that's a bit softer than the brick-shaped one of these ones, if it's made of the same material as the brick, it doesn't make any difference. Use the brick. And if it's one of these that are really stiff, it doesn't make any difference. So just if you've got something a little bit more wobbly. And we're taking whichever we're going to stand on close to the wall. We've done this before. You know the drill. If the block is shorter than your foot, you need to try and maybe stand on a diagonal. You really want all the toes and the heel on the block. And if it's still too small and you happen to have two, use two blocks so that your full foot is supported. And we're going to come up to that leg, whichever one we're standing on, and use the minimum number of fingers on the wall that you can manage. If you're using the arm of a sofa, just be careful it doesn't make you tilt over. So you really want whatever you're using to be there available to you when you're upright. Staying on this, we're going to swing the other leg back and forth just to get a good walking gait. And if anything, think of the backward motion as more important. And we're breathing. Let that movement come from your ribs. I quite like bringing my hand onto the rib cage, the bottom of the rib cage, and thinking of my leg as attached to my ribs, which indeed it is via the psoas muscle. Think of the movement coming from there. We'll just swap sides and do the swing on the other side, and then we'll come back to our balance challenge. Bring up that hip. Maybe bringing the hand onto the lower rib cage to feel the sense of your leg coming from the middle of your trunk instead of just from the joint. And then take that down and come back onto your block with your first leg. And take the heel of the other foot onto the ankle of that leg. I can see that it's quite dark here, so I'm just going to go over to this side so you can see my feet better. Oh, that's much better. Heel to the ankle. The toes could be on the floor or on the block. And what I'd like you to do is hold the wall with the minimum amount of fingers and see if you can close your eyes. And if you can't, close one eye. That's quite the drama as well. In fact, why don't we all just try one eye closed first? You'll probably get a really strong sense of which is your dominant eye as you do that. Let's swap eyes. One might feel much clearer and support your balance better. And then try, if you don't need your hands, well, you could use one hand, cover your open eyes so that you can only see part of the room and see what challenge that gives you. You want to be getting to the point where you nearly fall or you even actually have to step your foot down to save yourself. That's where a proper balance challenge lies. Take that foot down before that leg loses the will to live. And step up onto the other one. Taking the heel to the ankle, the toes to the floor, or the toes on the block, or the foot to the shin, depending on where you are good and stable. Holding the wall as you need with one, well, the minimum number of fingers. Think of your little elf ears and try closing one eye. My balance on this leg is like 50% better than the other leg. So I know I'm going to need more challenge for this one. And then swap eyes. If you can't blink, if you can't wink rather, obviously you'll have to cover one eye. Then either cover with your hands, or if you're finding this quite easy, close two eyes. You're really working with ankle strength here a lot. So if you feel vulnerable in your ankle, I'd rather you hold the wall, even if you have less wobble, because I don't want you spraining your ankle. When you're ready, stepping down. The block will be near your mat if you don't have a ball, but we're just going to come into a very simple balance test where I'm simply going to get you to stand on the first leg, take the other leg off the floor, and just with your hands on the hips or across the chest, just count how long you can balance for. And then take your time to change feet and give yourself a bit of a count. And some of you may have not got to the end of your count, and that's cool too. Some of you may have reached the end. And then when you're ready, take your foot down. And we're going to come to the floor. If your bolster is optional in terms of adding some weight to what we're going to do, but you may choose not to add any weight. So at the very least, you'll need either your ball or your block or your cushion that you will be putting between the thighs and the rounded band that you'll be putting around the thighs. Your long band is an option to add if you choose not to add weight. So you might have the bolster or the long band, and both of those are completely optional. I'm going to take my angle down a bit so that everything is a bit clearer. So I forgot to guide you to the floor. I'm sorry, I should have got you to do your osteoporosis friendly route to the floor, which is one knee down, the other knee down, then lying onto the hip, sitting onto the hip, lying onto the back, and rolling onto the back. And take a little minute there, breathing, letting the nervous system get used to this idea without it doing what mine will often do when I get here, which is think, ooh, I have a nice little snooze. So we're just staying a little bit present. Settle yourself with your elf ears moving towards the wall above your head. And with the back, I should say the lower back ribs touching the floor. But the back waist or the back spine slightly hollowed off the floor. That depends on your body shape, whether there'll be actual back touching the floor, but the sense of the spine as in a slight upward bridge, like a long, low bridge of the spine. And the upper back spine is the opposite. It's like a long, low bowl sitting on its bottom. And then the bridge begins somewhere at the bottom of the rib cage, and then it tips down to the top of the pelvis. So that's our neutral spine. We're going to take our ball, block, or cushion and pop it between our thighs, close to the knees. As we do the first few lifts, play with the position that is optimal for your feet, not for the sake of your feet, but for the sake of your knees. So what foot position as we do the movements is best for your knees? So the movements begin with a squeeze of the ball and a lift of the pelvis. Check out your knees. If they feel weird, try turning the toes out or in till you get happier knees, and inhale down. That should set your feet in a position optimal for your knees. It might feel weird and it wouldn't be straight out of the exercise manuals, but our knees are so in need of our long-term TLC. Squeeze, think of the lift of the pelvic floor, which you might go opposite. You might push down and lift. And inhale, keep the squeeze as you come down. That means you're having to counter the downward bearing of the pelvic floor as we inhale. So you're exhaling, squeeze the ball, pelvic floor lifts, we lift up. As you come down, think of maintaining the pelvic floor squeeze as you inhale. So you'll have to breathe into your rib cage instead. Let's do 3 more. Squeeze and lift. Inhale, stay squeezing as you lower. Squeeze and lift. And lower with the squeeze. And squeeze and lift. Use your buttocks. Lowering. And one more time, squeeze and lift and stay up for 10. Squeeze and lift, 9, stay up. 8, 7, lifting through the pelvic floor. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come slowly down. Take your ball out and put your rounded band around your upper thighs. Now, lower thighs. This is also a moment where you might overly round the spine. Try and keep the back of the pelvis on the floor. It's why hip mobility is so important when we have osteoporosis, because we need to be able to be flexible enough to reach bits of us. Walk your feet out till the band is taut. And again, deference to your knees at all times. Now, obviously, when I say deference to the knees at all times, if there's somewhere else that's hurting while you're trying to protect your knees, then you've got to also try not to let the other bit hurt. But deference to knees over alignment of feet. Push out into the band. My red band is quite loose. I have a tighter one, which I would wear, but it's just in another drawer. So you might find that your band is a little lacking in effort for you, in which case you can hold your hands outside your thighs and press your hands as if you're trying to close your thighs and push out into your hands. And we're going to lift up, pressing out. You'll feel your outer hips, your IT band, and some other bits of your glutes working. Inhaling down. Exhale, press out into the band and lift up. Pelvic floor engaged. Also the pelvic floor engaged as you reverse and inhale, which is hard. Exhale, push out into the band, lift up. Push out into the band, come down. Into your hands too, if you need that extra bit of force. Exhale up. And inhale down, relax the jaw. We'll do 4 more. Exhale up. And inhale down. There's a doggy enjoying the video here, looking at us all bemused. Exhale up. And inhale down. 2 more, I think. I lost count thinking about the dog. Exhale up. And inhale down. And next time you come up, stay up and pulse out into the band, pulsing out 10, 9, 8. I want to apologize for this because I find it a killer. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come slowly down. As you take your band off, we can have a sneaky hamstring stretch. If you want to leave it around your feet, bring your feet to the ceiling, hold your band, and please don't pull your legs towards you. Keep your back of your pelvis on the floor and keep the lower back with that slight hollow. So I think, Anna, bring your feet away from you a bit. I feel like your tail is very far off the floor. There you go. So if you want to get more sensation in the hamstrings, you might have just turn your head and have a quick glimpse. You're not pulling the legs towards you like this and letting the tail rise up. You're moving from the hip joint. Think thigh bones away from you, that direction, thigh bones moving that way, and toes moving towards the wall above your head. So there isn't this big, huge angle change in the legs, but you'll get quite an intense bit of sensation in those hamstrings. It's better to work on that range of motion after we've done strengthening. So we strengthen with active range of motion, and then a little bit of more passive is okay when we know that the muscles know how to engage when we want them to. Let's anyway come back to our last bit of work in this orientation. Take the ball for the last time between your thighs, and you can choose either to hold your bolster or arm or hold your band. If you're holding your band, you'll be holding it up and just pulling it isometrically wide and just keeping it there. That's just going to add perturbation, whereas the bolster will add obviously a bit, it might add a bit more perturbation and a bit more maybe muscular effort in other areas. This time we're going to keep the lower back ribs on the floor, keep the lower back slightly unstuck from the floor, and see, can you lift your feet with your shins parallel to the ceiling? I'm going to change my angle to show you. You're going to bring your heels together like clamshells, and we're going to squeeze the ball, release, and squeeze, heels together, release. As you squeeze and release, you could release just a tiny bit, not full release. Obviously, you're not dropping the ball, but just go halfway to the release. Squeeze, do this with or without the bolster or band, release, squeeze, release. If you want a bit more work, bring the bolster overhead, or the band, not overhead, but just on a diagonal, over forward, I should say. So it's just a bit heavier because it's not as directly over your chest or core. Squeeze, release, another 4. Squeeze, lift through the pelvic floor, release. Exhale, squeeze, release. Blow out through the mouth, maybe, if that helps. And when you're ready, carefully feet down, carefully bolster down, and chuck it off away from you. Take the ball out. What position would feel delicious to you now? Maybe it's feet together, knees wide, arms overhead. Maybe it's arms out flat. Maybe it's hugging your knees. Something of an antidote that feels pleasant as you relax your face and jaw. When you're ready, bring your knees up, roll onto your side, roll onto your tummy, bringing your ball or block. Last thing here, or band actually, and behind your back, hold whatever you choose, ball, block, or band, and hold it slightly elevated off your pelvis. Arms are straight. Inhale here. Elf ears are pointing to the top, the wall above your head. Exhale, press the pelvis down and reach that ball back towards your heels while lifting your chest and face. But your elf ears don't start pointing up to the ceiling. They're pointing halfway up the wall. And inhale down. Pull against the block, band, or ball as if you're trying to rip it apart. Exhale up, belly button to the spine. And inhale down. 6 more repetitions. This is the last bit of strenuous work for us today. Think of using the muscles along the length of your spine. You have all these multiple muscles that go from one vertebra and hop over to another and another and another. Think of them shortening and lowering you very carefully and with contraction. So the muscles are staying strong both as you lift and as you lower. Probably 3 more. Pull on the device. Feel the muscles of your back. Even if you're here and you just lift this much, that's huge. Even if you're here and you just manage to get your arms behind you, that's cool too. When you're ready, if you have a bolster or cushion, as you roll onto your right side, bring it close to you and bring your left knee onto the cushion or bolster. And if you have a block or cushion, put it under your head. If you don't have a block or cushion, put it on your elbow under your head so your head isn't falling way down. Or you can do folded blanket. We're going to do a little twist here, and then we're going to rest in this position. We'll obviously twist on both sides, but this is going to be our Shavasana. So resting your left palm on your right palm. We're going to inhale and draw that palm up the arm, across to the chest. With osteoporosis, leave it on the chest and roll onto the back of your head. And don't let that elbow pull you down towards the floor. So it's quite a gentle twist and the spine is long at the front. If you don't have osteoporosis, you're welcome to let that elbow go onto the floor and turn your head to the left and let the arm come onto the floor. And we'll stay here for just 3 breaths. So just no forcing in our twists with osteoporosis, and force can come from the weight of that arm. It can also come from our desire to get that arm to the floor before the spine is able. When you're ready, roll onto your back. When you get to your back, carefully transfer your bolster to the other side. Roll onto your left side, right knee on the bolster, hands one palm on top of the other. And then stroking your right palm up your inner arm across your chest. Stop at the chest if you have osteoporosis and roll onto the back of your head and leave it there. If you don't and your shoulder blade wants to come to the floor and the arm can spiral out. Now, if you are able to bring the shoulder blade to the floor really easily and you have osteoporosis, this is fairly safe. Nothing is totally safe in any circumstance. And in osteoporosis, you just don't know. But if you're keeping that spine really long and your back isn't rounded and you are easily able to come into this, it may be safer than for somebody who can't easily come into it, or whose spine is in flexion, or who already has a rounded upper back because of fractures. That's possibly too much information for those of you who aren't yoga teachers, but in a way, for those of you with osteoporosis who aren't yoga teachers, these are important factors to take into account for our future. Think about which side you'd like to do your Shavasana on. Maybe you roll on to the side you were on, or you transfer to the other, or maybe you don't want to do side lying Shavasana and you prefer to lie on your back, perhaps with your bolster under your knees. If you do like side lying Shavasana, there's just a lovely cuddle to be had of the bolster. And if you really let it come close to your body, the pressure of the bolster against the front of your body can help to release oxytocin, which is a delicious feel-good hormone, which helps us with inflammation, with joy. You might want a blankie. You might want to put blocks or cushions between your feet so your feet aren't falling down on top of towards the floor. You know, the top foot isn't falling down. Or, as I say, you might be happy in a different position entirely, and just let your eyes close if that's comfortable for you. And if you're keeping your eyes open, think about a very soft vision, so that if you're looking around your room, which is actually cool for your nervous system, you're seeing things in a really passive and uninterested way. So softly seeing your world. That's a nice phrase, softly seeing your world, something we could do with on the regular, I think, in terms of that yogic principle of non-catastrophic thinking and trying to find that space between what we are witnessing and how we react to it. And that counts for the world of your body. What did you witness and how did you react to what you witnessed in your body? And can you observe it softly with patience and compassion? Softening your face, your jaw, and letting your bones rest. What's the heaviest part of your body right now? And can you allow some other bits to get heavier? Just like that, to match it for heaviness. What's the softest part of your body right now? And can you let some other parts match it for softness? What's the most spacious part of your body right now, or freest? And can you allow some other parts to suggest spaciousness and freedom to themselves? And what's the quietest part of you right now? Allowing quietness to spread. I would very much like for you to stay longer if you have time. So I'm not going to guide you out, but remind you that when you do choose to come out and back to your day, that you do so piece by piece, moment by moment, with kindness and patience. And I will see you at the next session. Thank you very much. Rest well.